The time? You ready?
I don't know about Fred.
All right, everybody, welcome. We're so glad you're here. My name is Tyler Ashby with Key Data, and we've got
I'm Tyler Hurst, and I'm not with Key Data.
it's the Tyler's times two at this one, right?
Yeah, I think so. I like that name. So we decided that we were going to team up and talk about owner acquisition.
Right.
Retention.
Owners, who wants them, who needs them, that kind of thing. Well, it turns out kind of got to have them, right? So in today's presentation, yeah, we're going to talk about acquiring inventory, how to go about finding leads, how to develop your pitch, and then the other side of the coin, right? How do we keep them once we've got them? And you guys all have experience in this, of course, but hopefully we can give you a couple of nuggets of something new and different that maybe you're not already doing or haven't already thought of.
So here's the first question before we get going. Who here actually is like here because you want to gain more owners? Is it pretty much everybody? Some of them want to retain owners or just figure out how to deal with owners, right? Because as some of you guys know, Tyler works for Key Data and has tremendous data. I used to be a VP at LiveRes and retired from that about 5 years ago, and so I've been on the owner side or on the property manager side doing consulting, and it's given me a whole new window of how helpful owners can be. So we're going to talk about that today too, because it's something I didn't know you guys dealt with, so I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Like, I'm sorry every day for you. So if you ever want pity, just give me a call.
So owners, kind of who and how. We like to think, maybe we could be more intentional about the owners that we pick up, right? So as Tyler was saying, a life outside of software. I worked in a property management company for 8 years before coming to Key Data, did business development there, and really I spent my first couple of years kind of taking on whatever homeowner came my way, right? If someone needed a rental projection, I was on it. I was going to be quick and be the first, but then I started thinking, maybe I don't need all of these homeowners. Maybe I need to be a little bit more intentional about the homeowners that I bring onto our program. So you start to think, what are some of the ways that we can be more intentional? And this is this is what happens in my brain anyway. whenever we start to do this, but the first kind of term I want to bring to your attention is ARPU. It's a calculation, right? It's one way that we can think and say, all right, let's be really intentional. Let's determine what's the average revenue per property, and then let's set a goal. And I don't need to bring on properties that are going to drag down my ARPU. Maybe I want to only bring on properties that are going to raise my ARPU, because I understand that at that level, it's worth my time, or I'm making more money at that level. So it's one thing to think about. Another is is the owner a good fit?
Yeah, we just did a panel over there. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't even know where I'm at today, but we did a panel, and one of the questions they said is somewhere instinctively, if you look at someone comes to you and they say, I have a 3-bedroom home in this area, instinctively you probably know exactly what that home is going to generally produce as far as revenue to you. Would that be accurate? So my guess is, and he says, he puts it nicely, is this owner a good fit? I mean, how much crap am I going to have to deal with for how much money? Isn't that really the question? Because you start profiling owners and you're like, you're pretty needy, or you're kind of a train wreck, or you're going to call me. And somebody even said in there was a really cool lady, and she said something interesting. She said, we have a policy that we don't take homeowners within 50 miles of our office because we don't want to deal with their locality. We don't want them coming in because honestly, let's have the conversation. What's really the biggest pain about homeowners, right? Is them telling you how to do your damn job. Well, I don't tell them how to do their damn job, whatever it is. So, is that not true? That the biggest problem is they just bug you about and then do you have great owners who are like, they don't talk to me, whatever, do whatever, and then other owners are like, one of the spoons actually was in the fork thing in the drawer, and that's not okay, right? And they're like, there was dust on a blind downstairs in the closet that you're not using right now. Tell me that doesn't happen, right? And so that's where, to me, the real anecdotal question is, how much crap are you going to have to put up with for how much money, right? So Sorry.
No, that's
I mean, let's just be
absolutely
real
right.
about it, right? I mean, let's just say owners can be awesome.
So now that we have some ideas about what it's worth and what
You
it's
don't
not
want any
worth,
owners at all, actually.
the next thing really is to think about like where are my leads coming from? How am I going to find homeowners? And I think that this is a really great spot for you.
Yeah, thank you. So, so before we actually get into this, because I love this. What you guys? There's a lot of brilliant minds in here, a lot smarter than me. And again, so is my aunt. But here's the question: how do you guys find owners? Like, what is your current methodology of finding owners? Any? Yeah.
Actually, keep good relationships with other real estate agents.
So you read the screen? Okay. I'm kidding. Okay, cool. I'm joking. So real estate agents, yeah, especially in small towns, I think that's a like where there's fewer numbers. Now, do you pay? I mean, again, guys, we can ask each other questions. It's okay. I know that lunch was good and we're sleepy, but wake the heck up. Do you pay like a commission or something, or you just friendly?
I pay an initial,
Uh huh.
like a recurring.
Sure. Anyone else do that? Work with realtors? Anyone? Okay. Yeah. That was actually, so I had a client who asked us to come in and help him set an owner acquisition program up in Jackson Hole. And it was actually really fun. And one of the things we did is we secret shopped all the realtors. And there's only a handful. And so we secret shopped. I said, who do you think is giving you good referrals and sending people? So I said, hey, I'm buying a vacation rental in Jackson Hole. It's about $2 million. It's this home that I found on the MLS. And who would you recommend as the manager? And they wrote me back. And they said, this is who I recommend. And it was interesting to see where their loyalties were. And it showed us where we needed to go do work. Maybe not the most honest thing in the world, but, whatever. So, yeah, it's legit, right? So what else? How else do we find owners right now?
We do Google AdWords and SEO.
Okay.
We have full circle marketing programs, so we do retargeting through social media,
Okay.
all of that. So, and with the realtors, we do connect with the realtors, but we charge them for our services.
Right.
So if they're working with a client, we'll charge them 25% referral, whatever the commission is, to
Okay.
help locate the vacation rental.
Awesome. That's a good spin.
Do it in reverse.
Anyone else?
Referrals from other owners.
Okay. A lot of referrals.
Owner that won't talk about you and they're going to share with others.
You know what? It's so funny because I'm like, how does that actually work? I imagine you like have a condotel in like Florida or something, and they're there and you're there, and somehow you bump in. And they're like, who's managing? But I don't know how it works with big houses, how owners connect somehow. But
They're friends. I mean, it's amazing how many of my owners know each other.
isn't that weird? Yeah.
That way, yeah.
Okay. Cool. I accept. Whatever.
And
Okay.
Previous guests.
Huh?
Previous guests.
Yeah, yep, that's a good one too. Because one time, the first time I ever stayed in a vacation rental, I went into the home and it was awesome. They're like, "Do you want to buy this house and we'll manage it for you?" And they had this like layout of like predictive income and when the house would pay itself back, right? And it was awesome. I was like, "Oh," because they were saying, "Look, you buy this house for $300K, we'll raise you this much money, or we'll book it, and in over 5.5 years, you'll pay your house off." It was pretty cool. And so it kind of just, it was just a little bit of a pro forma to show what they could do. Anything else? Any other ideas? Yeah.
It's kind of along the same lines as he had that we put testimonials online in our marketing or in our management section of what we're about.
Okay. How much of your website, and we're gonna move on. I can feel it from him. But how much of your website do you dedicate to owner acquisition right now? Yeah.
We have a sub-site.
Okay.
It's on all our marketing that we send out to potential owners.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. Anyone else? Just a
like
page
one
with a form.
The homepage has a little blurb that leads you to another page where they can get a little bit more.
Right.
Hopefully, put in contact info.
Do you guys put it in your header, like, list with us or something like that on your menu? That's pretty common. They put it in like a different color. I've seen a lot of that too because it just wants to be attention grabbing. So who's ever done? So I understand all of this. Owner referrals. Oh, good, Brian, you read too. Realtors, outbound leads, inbound leads. Current guests is huge. How about this one? Have you ever done a records request and found all the homes in all the vacation rental homes in your county, and you go to the county and do a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and then they send you the list and you mark it to them somehow, whether it's postcards or whatnot?
We're lucky our county has it all online.
Oh, wow.
All owners, we can go say this address, put it in, and it pulls up the owners and their home address. And all.
Fan-freaking-tastic. That's awesome. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah,
We've
some of them do that. You can get a whole entire list of the condo owners through like BayPA or whatever.
That's awesome. That's one of, like, when I get into an owner acquisition, and if you need quick, like, for let's say you're young or you start losing houses quick or something happens, if you need quick acquisition, like all the other ones, you almost kind of just wait for them to come. You build a pipeline and then they slowly just keep churning out. But if you need quick acquisition, going and grabbing a list and marketing to that list is usually the best, quickest way to do it. So.
And I would only add here that, again, you can be intentional, right? So have you told your current homeowners that this season you're looking to add 5 properties? And, do they know that? Maybe they know somebody, but you've never even reached out to them and said, hey, we're going to add some more properties this year, and I'd love a referral if you know someone. That's the kind of thing that we kind of skip a step sometimes whenever, we're thinking about owner acquisition. We don't reach out to the resources that we already have available to us.
Right. The lowest hanging fruit sometimes. Is literally, it's funny, but the lowest hanging fruit is right in front of you. You just don't ask them, right? You pay a referral fee or something like that, and people will jump all over themselves to help you. So.
This next slide talks about what kind of owner are you coming in contact with. So this is kind of a basic sales persona, right? So you may do this with your guests. You may do this with employees in different ways by having them take maybe a personality test or something like that. Well, we can do the same thing with homeowners, right? So if we break it down into 2 simple categories, maybe you've got the investor and you've got the traditional vacation rental owner, right? What are the differences? An investor is probably going to ask you things that a traditional vacation rental owner might not ask you.
And vice versa.
For sure, yeah. So one's concerned about ROI, right? And they may want extra documentation before they even put the house on your rental program. They're going to be talking about P&L. They're going to be talking about low owner usage, but you got to hit these numbers. And they may also talk about, well, when the market's right, we're going to sell that and move on to something else. And the traditional vacation rental homeowner, right? That's maybe, a lady that is a grandma, right? She's had this house for 30 years. The family comes up and stays in it. These are 2 different personas, and we would suggest that you kind of think about them differently as well. The conversation may be different. One may be very concerned with the fork in the spoon drawer, right, or in the spoon section, but the other is going to be very focused on what were my expenses? How much did this cost me? How much were you able to make me? And there are positives and negatives to both.
Correct. How many of you guys have investor type? Those are a little bit more hard to deal with, but they kind of stay out of your business, right? There's quite a few. Is that true? They kind of just stay out of it as long as you're hitting the numbers. The phrase that I've always used in a situation like that is they just want sausage. They don't care how the sausage is made as long as they get it. But if they're not getting their sausage, they're going to start peeking behind the curtain and wondering what's going on. And that's awesome. The traditional homeowners, you build those relationships. You just kind of have to think about what you want to deal with, right? And sometimes, when you're young and lean, you just want anything, right? I'm a take anything, get as much as you can type of guy and sort the wheat from the tares later. But at the same time, the investors are really easy to work with, but man, when they come down on you, they come down hard. So it's just, whatever you guys want.
So the next section we're going to talk about is, right, we've thought about what homeowners we want, we've manifested all of these great homeowners, and now we've got to give them the pitch, right? So what all is in your pitch? You've got your company story, you're going to talk about your program benefits, you're going to give your perfect rental projection, and then you've got to be authentic, right? So you've got to kind of close that circle with
honesty.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things is, and I actually really believe this, and I'll tell some of you guys, I sold software to at LiveRes way back, and one of the things that I found is that there was a lot of property managers, when you'd meet with them and you talk to them, some of them were small, some of them were very corporate, but one of the things that I found was ultimately they're relying on, especially with like a software like LiveRes, they relied on you to help their business succeed. And sometimes they looked at their software as the backbone of their business, literally like everything. And I started thinking about that when I was super young at LiveRes and thinking, these guys are kind of relying on us to help them succeed. And if we don't do our part, they could go out of business or bankrupt. And so we got to take our role really seriously, and we really need to help these guys. And it was really authentic. And it's the same thing with homeowners, right? Whether they're an investor or people buy a home, and they're like, we really want to have family time together, but they're like, we have to cover our expenses 100%. You guys know those guys. If we don't, they're like going to lose their house type thing. And then you have the investor type who are like, hey, we don't really care. We're just here to make money. But once you kind of find that place where you and your team have authenticity and really, by the way, it starts at the top, but when you and your team really can find authenticity in really wanting, loving, caring, and really wanting to help the property man or the owner, the homeowner, right, it actually kind of just makes a sales pitch really easily because people see authenticity and they see when it's not authentic too.
And up at the bottom here, have the right answers. Whenever I first started in business development, the CEO of the company said, look, if you're in meetings with potential homeowners and you're finding that you don't have the right answers to their questions, let's fix it. You know, if every single person is asking you, do you, make the beds this way because that's the way we like them made, and I'm saying no every single time, well, let's just fix whatever that problem is. So take note to the feedback that you're getting in these presentations, because if you don't have the right answers, let's fix them. Let's get the right answers. Yeah, right. Yeah. So as we think about your company story, right? Like, you've got to paint a picture. This is a competitive market, and some people don't care about any of the fluff, but there are a lot of people that want to know where you came from, what drives you, what's your mission, what are your values, what do you specialize in, what are you really, really great at that maybe your competitor isn't. So I would say understand what your competitors are offering in the space, and then figure out what makes you special, because that's part of your story.
Agreed, 100%. One of the other things, and I love that you talked about having the right answers, the best thing to do in anything, everyone here has sold something, right? I mean, you're selling your kids on why they need to go to bed at 8:30 with suckers, or you're selling your spouse on why it is that you spent $12,000 on a car, whatever, right? I mean, at least that's what I do. Is that not okay? No? Okay. My wife says I'm always selling her, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, duh. But here's the thing. In reality, the favorite kind of sales pitch is when somebody says, you say, hey, you always end a sales pitch with, do you have any questions? The answer, when they say no, it's either they're super uninterested in what you have to say and they're checked out, or they're like, you answered all my questions, right? And I think about that, and like what he said, having the answers is incredibly important. They want to know, a lot of people really do want to know the story where you came from, and especially if you own your own home or have been involved in some other way, they feel like there's trust and authenticity because you understand the way that they feel too. So
yeah, absolutely. Program benefits. So your rental program has benefits. You may not think that they're that special, but if I'm going to go meet with a homeowner, the back of my car has got towels, it's got sheets, it's got photographs of how I make beds, it's got an amenity pack that's made up specially for the homeowner. This is what the guest is going to experience. This is what you're going to experience when you come and stay at your property. Those kinds of things we often forget about, but it matters. It matters. People want to feel the sheets. They want to know that, no, it's an all-white linen bed. I've got a fitted sheet, flat sheet, comforter, flat sheet on top, folded over the top. I put 4 king pillows on a king bed. I put 2 standard pillows on a queen bed. Those are the kinds of things that help an owner to understand what they're going to experience when they come stay in their house once it's on your rental program. And then think about, the dollars and cents. How does accounting work for a vacation rental property? Who writes who checks? I always love this part of the conversation when we go through all the startup costs. Well, you're going to need to buy your linens, and we're going to need to take pictures, and this is going to cost X amount of dollars. And the owner says, oh, goodness, sounds like a lot. I guess I better get my checkbook out. And I say, oh, no. I only write you checks. You don't ever write me checks. I'll hold it on account for you until you have your first rental, and we'll cover the cost that way. Whatever it is that's special. But think about how that conversation is going to work. If you're telling them the startup cost and then they're thinking they're going to have to write you a check, maybe that's a roadblock. So find a way around it. Is what I think you should probably do.
Well, one of the things, even again, when I was at LiveRes, I used to talk to property managers a lot about how to deal with owners, and one of the things is make sure they understand the technology too, right? Again, it's okay to get in the weeds with these homeowners. I think that the more detail, as much as that sounds crazy, the more detail, the better. And so if you get in the weeds and say, hey, look, you're going to have a login, so you'll be able to see things. One of the things they want and tell me if I'm wrong, transparency. They just want to know what the hell is going on. They want to know when, they want to know how, they want to know who. That's all they want. And I have one client and they have a software that doesn't give good transparency, and I have owners who are a little more particular and they call all the time. And I'm fine with it. And I have monthly and weekly calls with some owners because they have huge houses worth a lot of money, and it's worth the pain to make sure that they feel like they're getting the data that they want when they want it. Sometimes giving too much transparency can create all kinds of nightmares too. But ultimately, in the sales pitch, that's one of the keys. Is they just want to be able to say, I will be able to kind of have some level of control. They won't, but we'll let them think that.
Yeah, and in this rental business, it's so unique because each homeowner is part of your business, and your interests are really well aligned, right? I make money when you make money. I like to make money. Do you like to make money, right? So our interests are really, really well aligned. In this section, we'll talk about the rental projection, right? So we've painted the picture, we've told about our company, we've given the details and the benefits. Now let's talk about what the property can make if it's on our rental program. So there are a few places you can look, right? First, you can look within your own business, right?
Wait. Hold.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tyler?
Tyler?
Yes. Okay, I actually have a question first
Sure.
before we go. And I think we're going way fast. We talked too fast, maybe? I don't know. I was drinking Red Bull or something on the way in. Do I need it? Hell yeah. Okay, so here's the real question. How many of you guys do this now? When you go pitch an owner, do you guys bring I'm literally curious for myself. Do you guys bring data like this, or do you guys talk about ADR and occupancy rates? I mean, of course you're going to be like, this is what you could do, but how does anyone, I'd love to hear, how does that conversation go? Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
We just show properties that are similar.
Uh-huh.
Right? So if it's
Comps.
3-2, we bring that they have, we bring another 3-2 and just say, this is what this person made. But then we normally show like the best ones. That we have.
right?
And
Best foot forward.
Yeah. And the best one that we have is actually a really small cabin that rents out nearly every single day
Where's that at?
in Cascade.
Oh, okay, cool. I've been there. What else?
So we don't bring any numbers with us in the initial meeting because we want to see what the property's like, what
Yeah.
the neighbor's like, and so we'll follow up. There's a reason to follow up too. We'll follow up with a full pro forma, a couple days later after we've had a chance to assess it, see if we want to take it on, and then give them a full pro forma.
Anyone else?
I usually walk the property, take the 50-cent tour, and I tell them, usually over the phone, that I'm going to give them a free safety check, which we're looking for, dangerous areas of the home. So I give them something for free.
Like asbestos?
Well, it could be anything.
No? Okay.
Because I'm also a realtor and we.
Yeah,
do a
you
lot
know
of
all
home
the
inspections.
stuff. Yeah.
So, we give them a free safety check, we talk a little bit about the numbers, but we do usually have to go back to the office sometimes.
Yeah.
To hopefully make them, wait a day for a little bit more accurate reporting, but.
Yeah, and I don't think people mind it. I think they'd rather see that you kind of took some time to sharpen your pencil and put your head to the tablet before they go. One of the things, this is actually kind of interesting. I honestly can't believe I did this, but we had one property manager, and their owner acquisition page was horrid. And so having a clean website owner acquisition page can be, and putting this kind of data can be very helpful as long as you're not giving too much data out. But cleaning that owner acquisition page up, what should an owner acquisition, we're probably way off base, but let's just do this anyways, can we?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thanks for permission. What should an owner acquisition page have on it? Any thoughts?
Call to action.
Yeah, I like a little bit, a small tidbit about who you are, right? And then talk about how you take care of their home, right? Or maybe, and one of the things we did is I wrote a white paper, and and people could download it, and it was awesome. It was like all the things that our company would do for them, and I thought of everything that we could possibly do. And I enlisted like 70 things that we'll do for you, and like wrote little paragraphs about each one. If you want a copy, you can just take it and put your logo on it, because it's the same thing. No? I was going to charge $5, but okay, fine. Nobody wants it. That's cool. But the other thing that we did is we also put obviously a contact us form, or you can call us. Like, you've got to do that. Gotta do that. Because you know what's interesting is we get a lot of those in nighttime, right? I've seen a lot of those come in at like 10 o'clock at night. And then very lastly, one time, and I've done it a couple times, is we put an income calculator on there, how much they could earn, right? And say, this is your home size. And it was easy. I found some free tool online, and we put in a possible income calculator, almost like when you go to look at a mortgage, there's a calculator. And so we do the, oh, you guys don't, you guys are all paid off on all your houses. Okay, I see that. Not me, but okay. But we put a little calculator. It was really fun. So it just, you know, made it a little more interactive. Any other thoughts on, did I miss something that should be on that page? Yeah, okay, you're right. Shoot. Do you want to come teach? Because I'm out. Anything else?
We just did a more at a glance style.
Yep.
So list and just at a glance so they could quickly compare.
Yeah, I love those, like the check marks, and you're like, this is this. I love that too. That kind of almost the comparison.
What you do, what we do.
Yep.
The thing, owner responsibility versus. So there's a dividing line too, which, you know, no, I'm not going to go pay your utility bills if we don't do that, right?
Right. Yeah, that's actually really good. I just feel like the more information you give them, as long as it kind of leans into, you know, them booking with you or using you, is better. So, all right, sorry.
It's okay.
Total.
I mean, another thing, I really like a video on
Oh, yeah.
On your owner acquisition page. So we often create videos for our, you know, our guest acquisition, you know, talking about the company and you know, why you should book with us. But a video that focuses on owner acquisition can be really, really powerful, and it also can be used in a lot of different channels in order to gain homeowners. All right, so rental projections. If you're looking within, if you're looking within, take a look at the properties that you have that are similar, right? This gentleman mentioned that, you know, he'll usually look at condos in the same building, right, or of the same size. If you're looking at houses, of course, you can filter out and say, all right, I just want to see 3-bedroom houses in this neighborhood that are similar. You can do this internally through LiveRes in your reporting. If you use a tool like KeyData, you can do that as well. It's pretty easy. But so in this one, we're looking at occupancy and ADR for this year versus a previous year. We're looking at it over the course of the year, because if you're working up a rental projection, you're often thinking, all right, what's the price going to be in January? It's probably very different than in June, very different than, you know, maybe October. So you want to know what your average is across those different months as you think about your seasons. The next place you can look is within your market, right? So if you're getting market level data from a source, whether it's you know, a vendor partner or maybe through a pricing partner that you use, you can look at market analysis. So what do other 3-bedroom houses in this neighborhood within the market produce? And then lastly, you can look at comps, right? So we can look on Airbnb and Vrbo. We can say, all right, here's a 3-bedroom in this neighborhood that's very similar. And I can see that this is how they're pricing during different times of the year. A tool that helps with all of these is, of course, KeyData. That's what they're paying me to be here for. But
Very subtle. Very great.
But
That's nice.
regardless, these tools you can find other places as well, right? So we're not the only show in town. But you can also just go on to Airbnb.com and look up a property. As long as it's not booked, you can see what the price would be for that time. And you can use that to help develop your rental projection.
Yeah, a couple thoughts though, with this, and I actually think that these comparison. So I don't work for KeyData, so I can say this and actually feel good about it. Sorry. You do? Okay, cool. I still don't. Joking. But in reality, one of the things, if you go back, can I go back 2 slides? Can we do that? If you look at this, KeyData actually has, and I'm sure there's other softwares that I don't know about, do it too. But KeyData also has, one of the best tools that I have is you can look at your home in the comp set, like 3-bed, 4-bed, or whatever, and you can compare it to the market averages. If your market has enough property managers, they'll take an average that, KeyData will take an average that, and then you can run your homes against them for any metric, whether it's ADR, and that's powerful to say, hey, we're beating the average, big time. And if you are, you just kind of almost pluck out, sadly, but it's true, you almost kind of just pluck out that one that you need for yourself, and it makes you look good, whether it's ADR, occupancy, RevPOW, you know, length of stay, owner, whatever stat, but you pluck those out and just show them. And how can you lose when you're literally better than the competition and you can prove it? And so helping people to understand. The other thing when it comes to these technologies, it's very powerful. I've noticed for myself when I've done this, it's very powerful to be able to say, hey, look, here's the technology that we use to make sure that things are going the right way, whether it's a rev management tool or a data tool, and you show them that you're making decisions based. Do you need some of that Red Bull? Yeah, I'll get you some. Okay. Here, where is that? I'm teasing. But in reality, those tools are very securing and very comforting to property managers because they feel like you're making data-driven decisions and not emotional decisions or what I thought decisions or instinct decisions like we used to do 5 years ago. But now there's such great technology, you can kind of almost highlight how the decision-making process works for when and how, length of stay, price per night, etc.
No, I think that's a great point. We're hiring him right after this at Key Data. So.
I'm not for sale.
And this is actually a rental projection. So we have a tool, and it will produce a projection that you can either send directly out with your branding on it. Of course, this is, Dylan McKay, famous 90210 star, but it could have your information and logo on there. And then some takeaways, right? So knowing your owner profile is going to help you to better understand how to communicate, the things that are important. We talk a lot in sales about word trails or word paths, right? So if someone's talking to you about ADR and occupancy, we'll dig in deeper. But if someone's talking to you about how we, what supplies we use to clean the floors, or how they can make an owner reservation and those types of things, that's a little bit different of a path that we'll take through the conversation. Relationship building, trust. I think that's key, right? If we can't understand each other and trust one another, it's not going to be a good relationship.
So that brings me to an interesting point. How do you? And I honestly think, because let's think about this for a second. What are homeowners giving you care of? Is it a house? It's an asset. That's correct. What else is it? It's a home where they bring their family and have Christmas memories and that crap that I don't care about, right? But you do care about it, right? Because to them it's important, so it has to be important to you. It's an investment, right? You got to take care of their investment. Some people save their life savings to buy a vacation home, right? I mean, you know that. And so one of the things you've got to do is I feel like the best way to build a relationship is build a relationship of trust by just asking the right questions, showing some empathy, understanding why they have a home in the first place. The majority, you're going to find those investors who don't give a crap. But in reality, you can go and find these guys. I would imagine that a majority of these guys are actually homes where people just want to bring their family. They may want to make some money on the deal, but they want it and they want to make money at the same time. It's very common. And I think that you build relationships of trust by asking those questions, trying to really understand what their real motivation is. And by the way, don't forget, sometimes their motivation is not what they tell you. They say things that are not necessarily how they really feel because they don't want to share emotional or, weird feelings about why they have a vacation in the first place. So.
Yeah, and then a couple other pieces here. Follow up, right? And a personalized follow-up, a video follow-up. Has anyone tried this? Like, especially depending on your market, right? You may have a homeowner that you might not actually meet them in person, right? You may only talk to them on the phone. They have a realtor give you a code or a key to get into the property. You go and tour it. You put together a business pitch for them, and then they may sign a contract through DocuSign you've never met. I think that part of this relationship is building that trust. Get out your phone and take a video of yourself. Hey, Mr. Smith, I'm here at your property right now. Just wanted to tell you how much I loved it. I'm going to have that presentation material over to you, or the rental projection over to you this afternoon. I can't wait to hear back from you. There are ways, even in this kind of strange environment that we're in right now, with COVID, that you can make a deeper connection with people, even if you're just on the phone or something like that. And speed matters. It's a competitive market. Be first. Be accurate, but be first. And so if you do work with a realtor and they ask you for a projection, be the first rental company that gets that projection over. We all have coworkers or colleagues that, I may email Tyler and say, hey, I've got this question. I send it to him because I know he'll get to me first. It's important. He's going to take the time.
We know in preparation for that this is not true. I will not email you back.
So now we've got this homeowner. How do we retain them? And some of this is going to seem kind of simple, right? Like communication, those sorts of things. But we've really got to engage our homeowners. They are partners in our success. And if we don't share our goals and we're not, on a shared path together, then don't be surprised if we don't really hit those goals. If if you and I work together and we say we're going to make $100,000 on this house, and then I don't do my part or you don't do your part, then we're not going to get there, right? So these homeowners are business partners, and so we need to think of them in the same way, and we need to share our goals and keep them engaged.
So, which leads me to kind of a question about homeowners and trying to understand when you guys bring on homeowners and you're trying to retain them. How often do you communicate with homeowners? Monthly. Like a newsletter? Anyone else? See, this is actually something that always plagues me. Is do you bring attention to yourself and they start calling you if you keep in too much contact with them? You know what I'm talking about. Or is it that you almost dread talking to them because you're like, I don't want them to talk about, the stain on the carpet from 4 months ago, right? But some owners will leave you alone as long as you do slightly communicate with them. I guess there's all different types, but if somebody knows the answer, I'll pay for it. So, because it's a very interesting question. How do you just keep them at bay always? Right? Okay, I'll just leave. That's fine. Laugh at my life. It's fine.
My argument's going to be that more information is better than less information, right? Now, understanding the personas of your different homeowners, right? Some may not want to hear from you, and they may tell you, listen, you got it. As long as I come in and it's clean and maintained, that's all I care about. But I think that having worked with 400 homeowners in a luxury brand, if I'm not communicating to them, they're going to be communicating to me. And unfortunately, it'll be a time when I'm not ready, I'm not prepared, it's the evening, I'm with my family, whatever that is. And so I'd much rather be feeding more information and building a narrative around our success story than waiting for kind of the hammer to drop in that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about aligning our strategy, right? There's education we can do with homeowners. And again, it's understanding the personas, but let's think about what we could discuss. We could discuss rate plans. How many of you right now involve your homeowners in the rate strategy? It's a slippery slope, isn't it? Why would I involve them? Well, the reason I would say is that, again, we're building to a successful partnership. And so if they know that the goal is $100,000 and I know that the goal is $100,000, what do we have to do to get there? Maybe it means that we take less rate on midday stays because no one's interested in booking those. And so if we get some, it's gravy. Or maybe it's that we're going to really raise the price for the weeks in most demand. And maybe that means we won't be booked 6 months in advance. It may take a little bit longer in order to get those bookings. But if you haven't involved that homeowner in the conversation necessarily, you may end up getting the homeowner that says, every year we're always booked by now for 4th of July. Why are we not booked yet? Well, we have a different strategy this year.
Well, and that's the thing. So when I talk to owners, a lot of times you kind of listen and you kind of try and hear their concerns. And then sometimes I just run them over and tell them why I'm right and they're wrong. Because isn't it really, and I joke about that, but maybe it's my personality, but isn't it really our job to isn't that what they're paying us to do? Is to use data and technology and look at the entire market to project the most value upon their home to guests. And ultimately, you can beat your goals by doing that. But I understand. I don't think I've ever let somebody in on what the rate should be necessarily, because I think that's a dangerous place. But I explain to them why the rate is that it is, what we're going to do. And then I say, look, if it's not working, we'll change it in a week, right? And that generally works. And I have one homeowner who I talk to all the time, and it's just, that's a little high for Thanksgiving. He said, that's a little high for Thanksgiving the other day. He's got a pool home in southern Utah. And I was like, yeah, but you're going to get it. And he's like, well, it hasn't booked yet. I was like, I know. But here's the thing. I've marked it up 20%. I can still take it down to 0, and you're still going to make more than last year. And so what I try and do is explain first what I'm trying to do. Instead, it's tail wag the dog wag the tail type situation. Which one are you going to let happen? And that's why I think if you're having those conversations way far out, right, then you have the ability to say, look, we're still 7 weeks from Thanksgiving, so let's not worry about that right now. If we get a little closer, we'll start dropping the rate.
So some other communication pieces, right? Like what's trending? What are we seeing in the market? What's amazing is that a lot of these homeowners are super smart people. I know when you get the call at 3 a.m. about something that does not matter, it doesn't seem like they're super smart, but they are, right? They've been incredibly successful in their lives to be able to own this second home. And so they want to know what's going on in the market. I had this homeowner that he was the president of payment processing for Visa, and I'm thinking, what do I have to share with this guy who's clearly, you know, a business genius, works for this huge company. He wanted to talk about, you know, what's trending in the market, you know, when are people coming in, what's the traffic going to be like, you know, are people paying more for this versus that, what neighborhood should I buy my next house in and put on your rental program. So I think communication about what's trending is really important. What's currently happening in the neighborhood that they're in or in the building that they're in. And then lastly, what are we reaching for together? Again, looking at this through a partnership perspective, you know, if we're both working toward the same goal, we can get there.
Agreed, 100%. I think, and one thing that I think about communication also is just be consistent, right? If you know, and we all do this, or at least I've seen it being done, is where you send out a newsletter. It's the first day of the month, and then your owner statements come out on the 10th of the month, and then you know something comes out, and then all of a sudden you stop doing something, and then people start getting, you know, like, what's going on? I would just advise that I would advise that you create a communication plan and stick with it. That's very, very important. And brings me to a question: how many people feel like, besides owner statements and random phone calls about their house or dollars and cents, have a good communication strategy for homeowners? What do you do?
We reach out like, okay, fall needs, fall's coming up. We need to do winterizing every home here, holiday decorating time of year. Have you had your chimneys swept? Is your septic been pumped lately? You know, it's
Yeah.
just those kind of reminders that it opens up a channel, it invites a conversation when we're ready for a
And it makes you look like you really care.
And we do.
Yeah.
We partner with you, so we care about your home.
Correct.
So, yeah.
That's interesting because, and so like one of the things that a company did once, and honestly, it was because of data that was provided by Key Data, and oh, sorry, did I say Key Data? I think I've said it more than you have.
Heard it, yeah.
So one of the things we did, they have like really good like reporting, and so we would do biannual reporting, and we just kind of look, and you can talk about the ADRs, the occupancy, why it's better, why it's worse. I try not to do the worst thing, where it ranks in the program, where it ranks in the vicinity, in the area, and you know. That kind of, they look forward to that, and it can be a 10-minute phone call, and you can even create a report and just send it out automatically, which I don't know if I'm a fan of not controlling the narrative necessarily, but in reality, I think that maybe coming up with I mean, monthly would be way too much, quarterly would probably be too much, but in reality, I think that the understanding the metrics of their home are also very important. Whether they want to or not, I think it's good to shove them down their throat, just so that they really know that you're going to do this, that you're looking at this. They love knowing that you're looking at the data that they don't care about, right? They love that because they're like, you're worried about, I'm paying you to worry about the things I don't want to worry about.
So when we think about the type of communication that a homeowner gets, especially around money, right? It's the owner statement. And the owner statement is an accounting statement, really. It's, you know, what was your income? These were your expenses. This is how much your check is. And it comes from the month previous. And sometimes it takes, depending on how fast you are at closing out a month and sending those out, you know, it could be 15 days into the next month before an owner's getting that. So when we talk about, you know, revenue communication, that owner statement's not doing it. It's too far in the past, and it's not forward-looking. So we suggest thinking about a type of report that you can send that looks at, this is where we're at right now for this year. This is where we were at the same point last year or 2 years ago, you know, however you want to lay it out. And then this is how you finished, you know, that previous year. And so it gives them an idea of where they're at for a revenue perspective. And then it also shows how owner stays affect that money. You know, if we talk about, you know, how owners can really mess up, you know, the financial forecast, it can be taking 2 weeks in peak season and then calling you the next month and saying, where's my money? You know, why haven't I made all this money? And so owner reports that are forward-looking and focus on different key performance indicators, whether it's ADR, occupancy, RevPAR, just the bottom line revenue, I think are really important to supplement your owner statements.
Correct. And I think there's a statistic. We don't have a slide about owner stays, do we? Coming up? No.
No.
Okay. One of the things, it's frustrating. Maybe I don't know. Just don't look at anything before we give it. But one of the things that I thought is kind of interesting, and Keita has a neat report about this, is looking at the cost of owner stays. Right. I think that if and how many times have you ever had the conversation? I'll ask. Have you ever had the conversation where an owner books like a busy weekend, maybe not a holiday, but there's like a busy weekend because something's going on in town, and they may not be completely aware of it or don't care, and you call them, and you're like, hey, by the way, we were probably going to get about $4,000 for a 3-day stay. Do you really want to stay there? Has that ever happened? You have those conversations? Those are fun conversations because you know what? You're right. They're wrong. Right, and I've done that. I'm like, hey, I don't know. They're like, well, we booked this weekend. I was like, that's the busiest weekend of the year. I was like, we were going to book that for $1,500 a night, and we usually get $500 a night. And they're like, okay, I'll take off the reservation. And ultimately, I think that helping them understand how much they stay, because they just come and go, but I think they start looking at how much revenue they're giving up. Obviously, here's the problem with too many owner stays. You know what the real problem with too many owner stays is? You don't get any money. Right? And then you have to deal with all their crap after they leave, the freaking email with 54 pages of like little things like, I saw a hair on, the entryway outside, right? So you can, it rained and my car got wet. I'm really mad about it. And that crap happens and you get a bad review from your homeowners. So it's just kind of interesting to make sure that you're understanding like what the desire is for your homeowner and trying to fulfill that.
Yeah, so make more together, right? We often think we only can make more money by adding more properties, but that's not the case. We can make more in each of the properties, right? This house doesn't have a hot tub, but a house with a hot tub makes $15,000 more in a year. Or maybe if it had a golf cart, it could make $10,000 more in the year. And have you ever had those conversations with a homeowner? They're often like, oh, that's a nice idea, but maybe they're not fully believing what you're saying. So what we would suggest is pull together an aspirational comp set. Again, you don't have to use key data to do it, but go on Airbnb or Vrbo and look at other properties that are in the same neighborhood, similar size, similar fashion, but have this extra amenity. Even if it's allows pets, right? Pet friendly versus not. What are they able to charge per night? And then pull together that information and take it to the homeowner and say, all right, I've done the research. A house with a golf cart is going to make $10,000 more. Here's the proof. Here are 4 listings that are offering that, and they're able to charge X amount more. So you're showing an ROI. I often think about, if you're in a store, right, and it's winter and you get a sweater, that sweater is only going to be full price until it starts getting warm again. And then they're going to put it on a discount rack when less people want it. We often see that happen with our homes where they're not getting kind of updated, whether it's painted or new carpet or whatever. And instead, we start lowering the price and we get new inventory that looks better, nicer. But if you could convince all of your homeowners right now to do those things, get that new couch, update, that living room or kitchen or whatever it is, or get the golf cart, how much more could we make together? So, spend some time thinking about how can we convince homeowners to do those things that we know would make us more money.
Yeah.
Can we have an example?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Can you go onto my website? Is that possible?
I don't think I can, but tell me about it.
Okay, well, I put my foot in my mouth and I told her exactly what it needed, right?
Uh-huh.
Needed a full paint from mustard yellow to something.
Yeah, mustard yellow sounds
and
right.
She had tchotchkes every 6 inches. So it needed she needed to get rid of some of it. But I looked at all the little pieces. They were all really cute, almost all. So I told her everything. Get rid of all, the 500 pillows, right?
Right.
Okay, lead balloon.
Right.
She didn't fire me, so there.
Did it work?
No, but she didn't fire me.
Well, and sometimes, you make this. I used to have a house, I called it the funeral house. It had so many fake plants in it. And, you can't dust this many fake plants. There were fake plants hanging off of it. They had columns around the bathtub with ivy coming down off of it. And I'm sure this was really, really cool in 1998 or whenever, I'm not sure. 1888. But it's not anymore. It's not anymore, and it looks terrible. And I can take and filter pictures as much as I want, and I'm not going to be able to hide the jungle in this house. And so I talked with the homeowner, and we're trying to come to a conclusion here. And I said, look, how about I take all these plants out? Just let me go in. I'll take them all out. I'll put them in our storage facility for a little bit, and we'll take some fresh pictures, and we'll see what we can get. Sometimes you just have to show people how much you're willing to do, like you did. Show people how much you're willing to do, and then they'll meet you the rest of the way. Sometimes it takes I'll find the contractor. Here's the quote for that carpet or for that paint or for the golf cart, whatever that is.
You keep pointing at me when you say golf cart. What do I look like? I don't
feel
golf.
Like you're rolling around in a golf cart, wind blowing through that beautiful hair. You got some.
Not only no, but hell no. I don't golf. I don't have time for that crap. You got to put the tchotchkes back, by the way, okay? I mean, what are they? Like the little helmets that you used to eat cereal in or something? Like, what are they? Just junk? Yeah, put them back. Maybe we'll book more. I don't know.
It looks like good though to me.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. All right, questions? We've got 10 minutes or so.
What do you think? So either way, questions about keeping homeowners or acquiring homeowners. And we can use this time as a bit of a forum, right? It doesn't just have to be questions for us. If someone else in the audience has a really great idea, be sure and share.
Yeah.
Are most of the partners doing like a personality test or some sort of test to determine if the potential new owner is going to be a good fit? Or how do you...
I would love to do a lie detector test, No, I think in my mind, I kind of have some categories built, right? So that, and this is helpful in any sales pitch, right? To understand, is this person a type A, B, C, D? Any kind of sales that you ever do, you're always taught like, all right, here are the different personas of the customer that we have. And I think it makes a lot of sense. At Key Data, we have our customers broken out by like, this is high touch Heather, right? She needs a lot of communication. She needs me to reach out every month and talk with her about whatever's going on. And this is low touch Laura. She wants to be left alone, and I think we can do that with our homeowners as well.
You do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're not always right.
Okay, well, let's do this. Why don't you open up your little laptop here and tell us what you think of all of us?
How many of you are using Key Data right now do you use the rental projections or comp set tools for this?
I do. There's a couple pain points in there, but if you don't have anything, that's a really great tool because you can spit it out in 5 minutes when your realtor buddy calls you and says, hey, we're getting ready to close on this house. The people would like to use you and they need some numbers.
Right.
And if you sell it right, your buddy makes a commission. So he's going to think of you and hopefully you can meet those projections.
Sure.
But a great tool. Super. I mean, that tool right there is worth the price of the software.
I still want to know what you think of me. I'm dying here.
Wouldn't you like to have?
No, thank you. Pass. Pass.
You guys mentioned pulling public records and then maybe doing like a postcard campaign or something like that. I'm curious if anybody in the room has done such and if you saw certain layouts or what kind of data are you putting on those postcards that are getting people to call?
So those postcards have to have a strong call to action. How many postcards do you get in the mail all the time, right? I've had mixed success with those, but I think that if someone's already got in their mind, right, that they're looking for a vacation rental company, it's super cheap to do a mass mail of postcards. And I don't just suggest doing it once. I suggest putting it on a campaign, right? So maybe I'm going to hit them with a postcard about, your occupancy in that neighborhood. With real data, this is what we average in this neighborhood. And then I'm going to hit them with something about, when guests start to book. So we need to get this listed ASAP, right? We're building kind of some urgency to get on it. And then if I've got some that are hand-picked out of that list, I'm going to send them a packet as the third or final piece, right? And I may even include a projection. Here's a projection that I've done specifically for you. I've sent out USB drives with all kinds of material that's specific to that homeowner. I've sent the homeowner gift cards. Next time you're in town, let me take you to Fleming's or to Ruth's Chris for dinner or something like that.
I come to Destin all the time.
You haven't been getting those?
This is bull crap.
But I mean, I think it's
That is
about
What he thinks of you.
I know. Now I know. I'm like 0.
it's about a strategy, right? So it's not about the one card. It's about, if I was going to get these in a series, what would it mean to me? And maybe one gets tossed out, or 4 of them get tossed out. But it really only takes one to get a phone call to get an in.
Right. The way in any sales position I've ever been in, I'm not a hunter where I just like call and expect someone to sign. It's crappy. It's slimy. It's not how I work. Right.
It's less fun
It
too, right?
it is certainly less fun. But in reality, you'll get those every once in a while. People are like, I need a book. You talk to them for 10 minutes. They don't even want to see anything. They're just ready to sign. But in reality, I believe in like what's called a top of mind strategy. And it's basically when they're ready to switch or when they're ready to engage a manager, you want them to think about you first. Not necessarily choose you automatically, but think about you first. And I think that if you can do that as the first option, whether it's a change, really helps. And that's how we sold software. Was we didn't expect everyone we called to buy, even though you should have. Now you know why. But in reality, we also just expected, hey, we're going to send out a postcard just so our name's out there. And like we've sent out postcards that says you can make 50% more than you're currently making, which makes them start thinking, how do they know what I'm making? And then they call you, and you're like, well, we found it on your website, right? And you can say, the first 3 months free, this and this and this. And so there's all kinds of ways to kind of grab their attention without being deceitful or, don't trick people. They hate that. They hate being tricked. So.
One of the other things that we found, and you got to be gutsy and confident in your brand and your product, is we always give them 2 other property managers. It's like,
Whoa.
take us and go check out company A and company B before you make a decision. 99% of the time they come back to us.
Yeah.
Because they take that you're confident enough to send them to somebody else, they're coming back.
Wow.
Did you have something?
Well, and you maybe just hit on one of the things we're really struggling with. It's very competitive where we are now. There are so many new vacation rentals, and we have so much business walking through the door. There's no way we can capture it all.
Where are you located?
Whitefish, Montana.
Oh, that's awesome. I grew up there in that area. That's awesome. Whitefish has changed completely. It's a whole different town.
Yeah, and we started with you. I think you helped Jared get us integrated years ago.
Yep.
But
I remember that.
2 things that come into mind. We need to have some way to capture data, and I'll talk to you about that later. But what we're struggling with, like we had Airbnb shut one of our, 2 condos. They just shut us down for a week. They said the pictures are accurate, but when you really get in there, it's dated and it's right on the lake. And we have older owners, and their places before there weren't very many vacation rentals. People just rented them because they were on the lake. But now there's so much competition, they have to upgrade. And I'm the one who's going to have to work with each one of these owners to say, hey, you got to rip out the bathroom. You need to do this. But maybe what we say to them is, in being a good partner, we'll eat a month's worth of rentals, or we'll eat, we won't take any commission on 6 stays or.
How many homes do you have now?
Huh?
How many homes do you have now?
We have, I think we're at 37.
Whoa. Okay.
We have like economy, a lot of mid, and then we have a lot of.
High-end stuff. Yeah.
But we really need some people to step up with their vetting, or they're just.
I have some ideas. We should talk after. I have some ideas on how you can do this. I had this problem with a manager.
Approach an owner to say, hey, you got to dump this much money.
Data, right? It's compiling data and showing them the value, the literal monetary value of being better, right? Like a hot tub. I did a study once for a property manager, and if you follow me on Twitter, which none of you do, thanks. 18% increase of revenue year to year if you have a hot tub. Right? And once you tell them that, you're like, oh, by the way, you made $100,000 last year, so that'd be $118,000. You can get a hot tub from Costco delivered to your door for $4 at Christmas time, and you should just do that. I know I did, and it broke. So my wife still was like, get it fixed. It's only been 6 months, honey. So, yeah, I think the data will help, and we should talk. I think, yeah, you can find ways to really show, and then you can just start getting selective. Say, you know what, you're going to have to go because we are a luxury brand, and you don't represent what we represent. And you just give them if you're really busy and stuff's just walking through the door, one or two owners, you can just say, and you'll feel so empowered by doing it. You'll feel so empowered by doing it. You go, girl.
One thing that we did, we had some owners like that, is that we were confident that if there were updates that were made, the unit was going to bring more money. They own 2 units in the same complex. So we just went and literally said, look, we're going to put the bill for this. Minor upgrades or some paint. Not a whole lot of furniture, but just taking some things out, like dusty plants that never get dusted, things like that. And we ate it up front and said, look, if it doesn't start making more money, then that's on us. But we've always been right as far as that goes. So.
Well, and it really is an investment that the property management company is doing, because anytime I'm suggesting, if I tell you, Mr. Smith, you need to do these things, and it takes you off the market for 3 weeks or a month and a half, I'm losing money, right? So I have to be pretty confident that it's worth it to increase your revenue over the year.
One last thing, because I know we're running out of time, but I think that she makes a really good point, mixed with your point, is you have to remember that we're always so busy about keeping owners happy, right? And making sure they're making enough money. Well, what about you? Right? You gotta remember, and I know this is an Orbeus thought, but you have to take time to worry about your business too, and you just can't sacrifice all the time. I like her idea, or you just saying, look, if I do this I'm raising your percentage by 2 percentage points. Can we agree on that? Then it doesn't really cost them anything out of pocket if they're stingy that way. And then long term, you're going to make way more money, right? And so you can think about even little things. I mean, TJ Maxx, there's got to be one around here somewhere, right? We'll go to Home Goods. I'll help you. I freaking Kia, okay? Yeah, I went there the other day for the first time. Holy crap. I need some money. Borrow some. All right, I think that's it. If you guys have questions, feel free to email us, call us.
Yeah, it's on here.
Okay, yeah, feel free to call us or email us or talk to us. We'll be around. We'd love to talk more. If you don't have key data, go get it.
Thank you.
He can't say it, but I can.